Hello, my name is Matthias. Welcome to my presentation about our paper Mind the Gap, Exploring Shopping Preferences Across Fashion Retail Channels, in which we explore how customers buy clothing online as well as in traditional brick-and-mortar retail stores. In addition to that, we show the characteristic differences between those two domains and how they may impact product recommendation systems. If we look at our daily life, we can see that the line between the physical and the virtual world is getting increasingly blurry. This is especially true for the fashion retail industry, where retailers have to provide an engaging shopping experience to their customers across multiple channels. For example, customers are getting used to pre-selecting and reserving products they like online and picking them later up in the store. This click and collect process is usually enabled by new technologies such as radio frequency identification, or RFID for short, and usually helps retailers to keep track of their inventory. But at the same time, it opens up an increasing number of data sources for such retailers to use to further improve the shopping experience for their customers. Coming back to this click and collect example from earlier. Whenever a customer reserves a product, for example, a t-shirt he likes online, it is automatically reserved in a physical brick-and-mortar store. Whenever the customer picks this item up later on in time, it is also possible to try it on in a smart fitting room. Such a smart fitting room is equipped with an auto identification system, usually based on RFID. It is also equipped with an interactive mirror. This mirror provides the possibility to show some additional product information, for example, about this t-shirt. But it also provides the opportunity to show product recommendations to the customer, for example, to compile an outfit based on the pre-selected item that he liked. Overall, I think this is a great example for such a multi-channel retail environment, but at the same time, it also opens up some problems and that has to be solved. For example, if we want to build a recommender system in this multi-channel environment, we have to consider several aspects. Recommendations are usually built based on actions the customer take in such a system. For example, purchases that are made. However, such a purchase may have different intentions based on the context in which it is happening. For example, a purchase made in an online store may have different intentions than a purchase made in a brick-and-mortar store. This at the same time means that just simply combining these multiple data streams may be problematic and may lead to some unintended effects. Therefore, it is very important that we need to learn more about these user preferences in the form of shopping patterns and how these patterns differ between the online and the brick-and-mortar domain. Further, we need to investigate and evaluate how this potentially impacts the preferences, how these impact the recommender systems in general. We do this basically by performing an empirical analysis based on shopping data from the online as well as the brick-and-mortar domain and performing some additional recommendation experiments. The data that we use for these experiments and analysis are based on or provided by a large international fashion retailer. It is most of it is shopping basket data. So basically, a shopping basket is a collection of products that were purchased together. We have this data based on the online store, where we have more than 1.1 million shopping baskets containing more than 14,000 unique products, and over 2 million shopping baskets from more than 100 different brick-and-mortar stores containing a total of more than 17,000 different products. In addition to that, we also have some data from a smart fitting room case study of the same retailer, where we basically have collections of products that were brought together and tried on together by customers in this smart fitting room environment. We call these collections of products that were tried on together fitting baskets. In addition to that, we also have some product metadata where we can basically assign a product, for example, a category. So this product may be a t-shirt or pants or footwear. I also want to highlight that the data that we use for our paper is available on GitHub using the link that is located on the slide. This already brings me to some selective results of our empirical analysis. First, we did perform some investigation of the anatomy of the baskets. So how many items and how many different types or categories of items are present in baskets. If we look at the basket sizes, so basically just the number of items that are present in a basket, we can see only small differences between all three parts of our data sets, with a general bias towards smaller baskets. This is especially true for purchases. However, if we look at the distribution of the number of different product types or categories, so for example, footwear, pants, shirts, and so on, that are present in shopping baskets that appear in the online domain, we see that most of these shopping baskets only contain a single product type, while shopping and fitting baskets that appear in this brick-and-mortar environment are usually combined of multiple product types or categories, which indicates that online shopping tends to be more focused towards a specific shopping product category, while shopping in brick-and-mortar stores seems to be more diverse with respect to the involved product types. We also did some investigation on the popularity of certain product types in general, and with what other product types purchases usually take place. So on the left-hand side in blue, you can see the co-purchase product type matrix. So that indicates what product types are usually bought with other product types. And as you can see here, the diagonal is very prominent, which means that purchases in the online store often contain multiple products of the same type. Let's take footwear, for example, which is, by the way, the most popular product type in general in the online domain. It also means that footwear is almost exclusively bought with other footwear. If we take a look at the right side, on the red product type co-purchase matrix, this time from the brick-and-mortar sales, we see also a slight trend in this diagonal, but in general, the distribution looks much more uniformly. This once more means that the products bought or the baskets in the brick-and-mortar domain tend to be more diverse or seem to be more diverse compared to the online domain. Finally, we did also investigate to what extent products are purchased multiple times and how this relates to the involved sizes. We find that in 36% of all shopping baskets in the online domain, a product appears to be multiple times in a shopping basket. On the other hand, this is only true for 13% of purchases that took place in the brick-and-mortar stores. If we take a look in the number of sizes that are actually involved whenever a product is bought multiple times, we can see that it's actually not that uncommon that a product is actually bought multiple times in the same size. This is true for both domains, the brick-and-mortar stores as well as the online stores. However, this is not the case, of course, for the fitting room baskets, where customers usually try on the same product in multiple sizes. If we compare the purchases from both domains directly with each other, we can see that online shopping baskets usually whenever containing a product multiple times, it is also contained in multiple sizes, often especially 3 or 4 times, which highlights that customers use this most likely to counteract some uncertainties about what size it will actually fit them the best. Okay, this already concludes some selected results of our empirical analysis, but we also did perform some experiments based on how these effects will pop up in recommender systems. We did this by using multiple recommendation algorithms for our experiments: a random baseline, a popularity-based baseline, which simply recommends the most popular products from the respective domains, and a more sophisticated embedding-based prod-to-vec approach, which should capture some latent relationships between the products. We did evaluate these algorithms based on 2 types of different metrics. First, some accuracy metrics, namely recall and NDCG, which is an extension to recall that also takes the ranking of computed recommendations into account, and some beyond accuracy metrics. Beyond accuracy metrics play an important role in many real-world recommendation scenarios because they also capture some other effects. For example, coverage, which means that the percentage of products in the product catalog which are actually getting recommended, diversity, which is the diversity of the set of computed recommendations related to some product properties, or novelty, which is directly related to the popularity of the products that get recommended. For our experiments, we use basically the same data as for our empirical analysis. However, we only use shopping baskets that contain 2 or more distinct products, as well as only products that appear both in the online domain as well as in the brick-and-mortar domain. This, of course, results in a smaller number of available baskets to a certain extent. Note that we do not use any fitting room data for these recommendation experiments. We basically compile for our experiments 2 different types of models. First, individual ones, where we use sales or shopping baskets from one of these 2 domains, so either the online or the brick-and-mortar stores, to actually fit the recommendation models, and a combined one, where we combine basically sales from both domains to fit one general model. However, we do evaluate these 2 types of models the same way by using a test set from the respective domain. So a test set for online and brick-and-mortar stores separately. Okay, based on our results from the empirical analysis, we did actually expect that the computing recommendations for the online scenario is easier to this more stronger focus that we observed in these shopping patterns. However, when using this popularity-based recommendation approach, this is actually not the case, because we can achieve a higher accuracy for brick-and-mortar stores. This is also reflected in the lower performance. This lower performance of the online domain is also reflected in the relatively unexpected high diversity of the set of most popular products, which is almost the same as for the brick-and-mortar domain. But this at the same time means that the set of most popular products is very diverse across both domains, online and brick-and-mortar stores. If you use this more sophisticated embedding-based brought-to-back model, on the other hand, we can find this higher expected accuracy in the online domain, as well as also this expected gap in the diversity of the computed recommendations, which is of course in line with our expectations based on the previously performed empirical analysis. Next, if we use an online sales data, a recommendation model that was fitted using online sales data and apply it to the brick-and-mortar domain or vice versa, we can of course see a decrease in recommendation accuracy. But at the same time, we can also see an improvement in the novelty metric. This means that the general popularity of products is rather different across both these domains. When using a combination model, so basically combining sales data from the online store as well as from the brick-and-mortar stores, we can see mixed effects on accuracy. On one hand, we see that the accuracy in the brick-and-mortar test set actually improves slightly, while introducing this more heterogeneous shopping behavior in the online domain leads to more pronounced negative effects. On the other hand, if we look at the beyond accuracy metrics in the context of this generalized or combined recommendation model, we see improvements in the beyond accuracy metrics for the most part, and especially in the online domain, where we can see improvements in novelty, diversity, and in coverage. This at the same time means that we can potentially leverage these effects to introduce more or some properties in our recommendations models that can, for example, be used to fit some certain use cases. Okay, this already brings me to the end of my talk and to some conclusion. Today I presented to you the results of our empirical analysis that compared the shopping patterns between online and brick-and-mortar stores and highlighted their substantial differences. For example, the more diverse shopping patterns that were observed in the brick-and-mortar domain. Furthermore, I showed you some selective and illustrative results of our recommendation experiments, which highlighted that combining multiple data sources is in fact challenging and has multiple effects on accuracy as well as beyond accuracy metrics, and highly depends on the recommendation context, so where a recommendation model is actually used. Furthermore, I want also once more highlight that the dataset that we used in our paper is available on GitHub. The link is on the slide here as well. And finally, for future work, we want to continue this line of work and actually see if our results that we presented here in this paper are also generalizable on different domains and settings. Okay, that was my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention.